everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at Brickvention, Australia, and I'm joined by a couple of very talented builders here and their incredible build, The Summoning. And so if you guys want to introduce yourselves and then take us through kind of how this collaboration came together in each part of the build here.
I'm Eli Brinsmead.
And I'm Ben Cossy. So this is our collaborative build. So we've been displaying together for 7 years now at Brickvention, and each year the two of us make one half of a kind of larger castle diorama. So I'm from Perth, which is on the most western side of Australia, and then Eli's from New South Wales, which is kind of the most eastern side. So this kind of took us about 2 months, about 2 months of texting and back and forth and everything, and somehow we were able to get it all together. So then we fly it over from our respective places. We put it in, this year was 2 suitcases, so we hope that it's okay and it doesn't break. And yeah, we get it here, and I'm pretty happy with this year's result, and it's always a pleasure to work with Eli, yeah.
So with being so far apart at opposite ends of the country, how did you two kind of first meet and start collaborating on builds?
I think we just messaged each other.
I think we just found out we were both Australian, and it just sort of happened came together from there.
I think Eli just sort of sent me a message saying, you're going to Brickvention, do you want to do a collab? And I was like, yeah, all right, let's do one. And it just sort of started from there, I guess, yeah.
This is history.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's really impressive. It's so great that you guys, even with all that space between you, were able to work together and achieve something so beautiful here with this build. So then, Eli, if you just want to start maybe with your section, and we'll just launch right in here. We were just going for a very Lord of the Rings, Skyrim inspired kind of look. So we had the whole sewers underneath with the really slimy, sleazy looking dude, criminals, that kind of thing going on down there, with the rather peaceful sort of town in Distray with the big demon. I just really wanted to, flex my ability a bit with the more like an urban area rather than a landscape, which is sort of more what I usually do. I really wanted to incorporate the cobblestone technique I've used a couple times just to get the street going. Try a couple new roof techniques with the 2x3 clip tiles. Really try my hand at a more urban setting than what I'm used to. Yeah, so you mentioned the lower level. Let's talk about that a little bit more, because I think so much of what makes this build cool is that there's those multiple kind of street levels, and you've got the almost underground city and then the whole build on top. So kind of talk about that underground city more and what kind of details you were able to include down there.
So we really wanted to get the nice curved walls, sort of like a sewer. So that was a real struggle getting that to look good and be able to survive the flight here. So just trying to make it look as dirty and run down as and filled with sort of real people you really wouldn't want to run into, and just make it look like you'd expect a medieval sewer to sort of look like.
And it looks like you guys used a lot of very small kind of tiles and plates down there to give a lot of that little detailing. So talk about kind of the build techniques in terms of getting those different sidewalks and areas together.
So usually I really wanted to incorporate a lot more tiles into the stonework than I usually do. Just the tiles have that nice groove in the bottom that really lets you see it, even though it's got amongst other plates. Just something I'd seen used well before, and I really wanted to try my hand at. I had a lot of them sitting around, so...
Sure, and it comes together well. So you mentioned the new roof technique. What are some of the other buildings you've got in your section here that you worked on? I just decided that this is probably the inn or the tavern, the white building, and that was heavily inspired by, I think, something Northern Lego did, a collaboration for the village of Bree, one of his buildings, and that really blew me away. So I wanted to build something akin to that, so that's how that one came about. There was plans to have a tower in, but that didn't really come about. But then we just got the blacksmith store, the watch tower, and another little just residential home, I guess, that just came together, and with all the markets and I got the gallows over here and the stables and that kind of thing. Yeah, and it's certainly a very lively, bustling looking town there. And I even thought, what is it, kind of a streamer effect there across the street almost?
Like flags, or a lot of people said it looks like laundry. So yeah, whatever you decided to be.
It's a very colorful laundry.
Yeah, just to make it a little more interesting, make it look a little more. I really wanted the town to look really happy and bustling, and then be in complete chaos that this huge
monster that Ben's built has just appeared, and as everyone's in panic or fright and that type of thing.
For sure. So with that, then we'll move on to Ben's section here, and if you want to talk about your half of the build and what all we have going on there.
Sure thing. So I love to build a lot of Bionicle myself. I'm very into system, as you can obviously see, but I really wanted to kind of stretch myself and play with putting a Bionicle into a system setting, because there is that kind of, I don't know, there's a lot of different textures with Bionicles compared to your sort of studded system stuff. So there's this often kind of weird juxtaposition between the two. So I wanted to see how I could blend them and everything. And I don't know, I'm pretty happy with how the result is. I played a lot with a lot of cloth. And a lot of that cloth, all of it is all official cloth as well, all from Bionicle sets or Star Wars stuff, yeah. Which is a pain because it's a little bit expensive, but it's but I'm happy, and I'm glad I was able to make it all Lego and not do anything, custom or anything like that. But no, I'm very happy with how that turned out. And then you've got the kind of summoning circle underneath, which you were able to put some lights in there so it all lights up and looks a bit more sort of creepy and sinister. So I'd used that technique before on a Star Wars build that I'd made. So it's got a layer of trans-clear bricks under it, and then underneath that are the lights, and then on top of that you see all the sort of funky summoning circle-y things. But that was tough. That was tough to make because none of it's attached. It's all sort of held in by itself. So getting that here was very stressful because that's all one piece. It doesn't separate.
Wow.
I was tempted to just destroy it and rebuild it when I got here, but thankfully I didn't because it would have taken a while.
But yeah, like those lines are not easy to get. You get all the kind of the red trans clear pieces in there, and making that all fit together is not easy.
No, exactly. It was full on. Yeah. A few other things because we've been doing this for 7 years now. We've got a few characters that we like to kind of bring back. Like we've got this sort of white wizard here and a few of his friends. So they've been in a few dioramas now. So it's fun to kind of write a bit of a backstory and kind of get a bit of a through line going with all the mocks that we've done. I find that really informs the building itself because you kind of think like, okay, well, how has this character grown since our last build or something? So I don't know, like it was funny. The build was just kind of building itself because I was writing the story to go along with it. I mean, it's not a novel or anything like exceptional. It's just little bits that we've put together. But
right, it's kind of the story you come up with in your head as you're building along, and then those characters kind of give that continuity as you go over the years and add new details.
Exactly that, yeah. And it just makes it more fun. It's good. Exactly that, yeah. And then our sewers were fun. Yeah, a lot of, we were saying before, like Lord of the Rings and Skyrim inspiration. I think for all the Skyrim nerds who I'm sure are watching, it's the Ragged Flagon in Riften, I think. We were looking a lot at that from the game. We've got a little tavern on the other side here, which is very, very much inspired from that. But no, it's just a lot of fun. And it's so much fun to display as well with Eli, like to bring them together, and especially only for the 4 days of the convention. It's it's fun. It's good. It's a fun experience. It's definitely the best time of my year. I think it's good.
Yeah. And so then you also have kind of this castle sort of wall section around it. Talk about that section as well, because there's lots of fun details in there too.
Sure. So the two towers that I did, they actually probably were the thing that took the longest on the build, mainly because it's octagon, because there's 8 sides on it, and I underestimated how. Obviously, I build one bit and then I have to do it 8 more times, and then again because there's 2 towers, so 16 times. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the hardest thing with that was actually like hunting down all the pieces for it and everything. I really need to sort my collection. But yeah, so building something like 16 or 8 times, depending on what it was full on. But I'm really happy with how the result turned out. A little behind the scenes thing. The top of the towers with the black roof on it. Initially I was going to do some kind of like fire thing on the inside, like it was a big sort of beacon or something like that. I don't know, just didn't like it, didn't turn out how I wanted. And then I think it was like midnight and late night crazy idea. I decided to put those black bits on there and I was like, oh, it looks great. And so it just kind of kept evolving, which, yeah. And again, that's another good thing about collaborating with Eli is we kind of send ideas back and forth, and, one of us might be like, maybe you should keep playing with that. I don't know about that bit.
Gently guide you in the right direction.
That's right. And so it's good to have someone who, because often you want to keep it a secret because it's a convention and you want that big reveal at the end. So it's nice to have someone who knows exactly what you're doing, who you can, bounce ideas back and forth with. And yeah, so
I think that's such a good point. That collaborative process is so good for creative processes like Lego building, because you can bounce those ideas off each other, because otherwise you kind of get so caught up in your own head and you're like, oh, I've got to do all this different stuff and do all this, and then someone else coming in and helping guide a little bit I think is really helpful.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. And as well, like, even if I had the pieces and I was able to kind of do what Eli did, he does it in such a unique way that I just couldn't do. So it's awesome to see what the other person brings to the table each year and how they impress you and blow you away. And yeah, it's such a fun process. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So then does the lower street, does that run all the way around the entire build?
It does. It almost didn't. We were building and midway through I realized, I think mine's a whole stud above yours, Eli. So we had to accommodate for that. But no, it does, which is good. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how that turned out. I think. Yeah.
And so when you got to the show here, it looks like there's kind of the dividing line right down the middle that you guys meet.
The tables are never the same height, so there's always like we call it a convention crack down the middle of ours every single year that just is like the bane of our existence, but it works all right.
And so you said you just kind of have it on display for like the 4 days of Brickvention. Will you tear it apart after that? Is this pretty much it for you guys when you do these collaborative builds?
Yeah, our builds only ever exist for 4 days at a time, and they never get reunited ever again.
Well, I'm glad we're here to record it then, because this is fantastic, and I think you guys did a great job here. So just keep up the great work, because definitely look forward to seeing more builds like this in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. I appreciate it.